by the end of this video, you will have the motivation and the solution to overcome anxiety. All right. Now, whenever you attempt to do that thing, whatever it is, you start to have anxiety. You feel like, I can't do it, or sometimes you feel like you're paralyzed and you can't make that move. And I know how it could be, but by the end of this video, I promise y'all gonna have an objective, and y'all gonna understand the thought process on how to overcome that while in that situation where you normally would just like freak out a little bit or overthink, whatever the case might be. But first, before we get into the solution, I want y'all to actually see this through. So we have to really think about what life would be like if you didn't actually succeed in overcoming this. Like, what things would you miss out on, like, in life? Like, what if whatever that thing is, there's a lot of things that you would miss out on. Like, some guys, they have approach anxiety, so they'll miss out on that. Some guys have a business and have anxiety when it comes to business. Some women, they have anxiety when it comes down to going out, period. Some guys have anxiety when they come out and, to that period, social anxiety. Whatever the case might be, they just miss out on so much in life just by you not being able to do that. Like, just think about if you had this same problem for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and like what that really would be like for you to have every opportunity in your life, you just not be able to attempt to do that thing or overcome, the anxiety where it's just keeping you from, actually living your life the way you want to, the way you desire. Like, it's really prohibiting you from your actual potential. So you have to sit down and you have to really think about how your life really would suck if you never really get over this. If you hold on to this forever, life is gonna suck. So that's what you got to think about. At the end of the day, it's not just about your life sucking, but also, like, what if you have kids, or what if you have friends and family members and they might count on you and you might have anxiety where you can't help them. You can't provide any help for them, or you might be in a situation where you actually know what to do or you know what to say, but you just have so much anxiety that you can't think clearly. It's like you just can't make that move. You can't think clearly. Like, you gotta think about all the people that you are hurting. It's not just about you, the people. Sometimes you might be hurting people in your life. Like, just off of you having this anxiety without even realizing, like, this is really the basis of my problem. My problem is that I have anxiety, and that's the basis of my overall problem, is that I have this anxiety. Like, if I didn't have this anxiety, I would not have this problem. And y'all have to really explore that when it comes down to not only what you're missing out on, and not only people that you hurting around you, but imagine that if that shit going for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, that anxiety just crippling you from actually living to your life to your fullest potential or the way that you want to live. That shit can suck, man. It can suck pretty bad. So I do want y'all to think about that, but I also want y'all to think about what would life be like if you didn't have that. If you've never had anxiety, like, even if people didn't like what you do, or even if people had something to say about what you do, even if everybody around the world, was in disagreement of what you were doing, you were still able to actually move yourself to do it. With that in mind. Like, imagine you being able to do that, or imagine the worst case scenario happening and you literally don't care. Like, you don't care. You just happy the fact that you still made the move and now you position yourself to figure out more. Imagine that too. Like, y'all gotta imagine the good thing and the bad thing outside of this. So now let's get into this. I want y'all to understand that a lot of times, guys, guys or women, when it come down to y'all anxiety, whenever y'all are doing something, right, and y'all get anxious, what's going to also lead to y'all procrastinating, overthinking, not moving, not doing anything. Y'all are thinking about the worst case scenario, and that's what's causing y'all to not move. Now, stick with me. I'm going to break this down for y'all. If you thought about something good, right? Let's just think about your favorite ice cream or your favorite snack. You know what I'm saying? When you think about it, and you think about all the good things that come with it, the good flavors that come with it, it makes you want it, right? It makes you want to do it. It makes you want to go get it. Or when you're craving it, if you're thinking about it for too long, and you think about the flavor and you think about it, you're going to want it. Now, if you are, let's say I fucking hate snakes. I fucking hate snakes. If you bring a snake around me, the only thing I'm going to think about is it crawling and it's slithering and shit, that motherfucking head wiggling. And I'm going to think about that, and I'm going to think about the snake biting me, licking me. I don't want it doing anything with me. So I'm going to not want to be around the snake at all. You know what I'm saying? Just thinking about it just kind of like making my skin like crawl a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that's because I'm thinking about the bad thing that it could happen. The worst case scenario that could happen. You know, it's squeezing my arm. I'm thinking about the worst case scenario. I'm thinking about everything that's wrong with what's going on. I'm thinking about everything that can go bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about everything that's wrong with it. So whenever I think like that, it's going to cause me to have anxiety. You know what I'm saying? That's what's causing y'all to have anxiety. You know, so whenever you're in a situation, just think about it. You know, I want y'all to actually, whatever the case might be, whether it be approach anxiety, whether it be starting up that business, whether it be, you know, social anxiety, whatever that thing is, I want you to really sit down and think about this one key thing. Whenever you are actually doing that thing, think about what you're thinking about. Or whenever you get to a point where you start procrastinating about that thing, just sit there and think about, what are you thinking about? Just pay attention to what you think about. I don't want you to judge yourself. Just look at what you're thinking about. And you begin to realize that's why you're not moving. You see what I'm saying? Because you're literally just thinking about the worst case scenario. But you only think about the worst case scenario, it's hard to focus on what you have to do. You see what I'm saying? So now, whenever y'all go through the situation and y'all living y'all life and y'all doing what y'all want to do, it's hard for y'all to not think about, it's hard for you not to have anxiety and not worry, because that's always on your mind. Now, the difference between this and what I'm about to teach y'all is that that's what's causing y'all to have anxiety, right? The next thing is what to do to not have anxiety. The same thing about the flavoring of the food. I'm talking about y'all favorite ice cream or snack. You think about the flavor, it makes you want it. It builds anticipation. It makes you want it. You see what I'm saying? So whenever you are thinking about something and you normally have anxiety, start thinking about the things of what it would be like if you were to do it. What the possibilities could be if you were to do it, if you were to say it. What are all the good things that can come from this? And now you no longer have anxiety. Now you have anticipation. It feels similar, but because the thinking is different, it's not the same. Y'all just literally have to think differently, but it's a process. You know what I'm saying? Of course, y'all have old habits that y'all have to break, and you know you have to really go through the experiences of proving yourself wrong and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's a process. It's something that's going on inside of you. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you literally have to go through that so you can have that locked into your mind. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it takes time. So what I'm gonna help y'all do is I'm gonna help y'all set up a game plan. Now, in this game plan, it's a lot going on, but you know, we're gonna actually help y'all get out of y'all anxiety, the thinking that's causing y'all to have anxiety, and get into a new way of thinking that's causing y'all to have anticipation to want to do it, to want to do the things that's just gonna have, you're gonna have nothing but anxiety and desire, right? So the game plan is this. Y'all want y'all to do practice these two exercises. One, first of all, y'all have to just start paying attention to something that's going on within yourself. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a fucking lollipop. I don't care if it's your favorite memory. You know, you know how you ever watch Happy Gilmore, that motherfucker be like, go to your happy place. I don't care if it's that the water, the ocean, the whales. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck if it's, you a moment you was in the sky. I don't give a fuck if it's a time where you were winning in life. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that case was, just think about that while in every situation where you would normally have anxiety. Every single time, think about that thing every time you have anxiety. Just think about that. Because what I want y'all to realize is this. A lot of the philosophy behind what y'all thinking is not really about you. All right? It's about what the world would think. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look on your day-to-day life, a lot of guys, a lot of people, we have been fed this idea our entire life that we should always seek approval of others, that we should always be at high performance of others, in others' eyes. For the fellas, it's so bad and so seeped into the fellas that they literally, would only want a woman because she looks good in every other guy's eyes. You know what I'm saying? They got some women who will only want a certain kind of guy because it makes her look a certain kind of way. She want this guy to be this kind of way because it makes her look a certain kind of way. You know what I'm saying? The world is no longer focused on the reality, the realness of our own individuality. It's not really taught to people. That thought process is not given to people. So what I want y'all to do with this practice is start really understanding is that the only way for you to be in a room where everyone does not like you and you to operate in complete peace, complete happiness, is for you to focus on what's going on within yourself. And it takes time. It's a practice. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just practicing on looking at this thing, and y'all going to start to overcome it slowly but surely, because you're going to realize that all you really need to focus on is you. You are going to always be your peace. You are going to always be your happiness. But the world will have you believe that you aren't, because they want you to meet this status quo. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they buy into living that status quo. So they think a way to, they think because they have been programmed, or you have been programmed to think this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for y'all to really understand, for y'all to take control of this thought process, y'all have to basically disconnect from that thought. You know what I'm saying? Because the fear, the anxiety, the disappointment, all of these things that that feed into you, that's talking to you mentally, that you think about, you know what I'm saying, that your mind wanders off to. All of these things are causing you to look away from yourself. So what I'm getting you to do is you're going to start looking at yourself to start doing what you want to do. Now, of course, this is the ground level of this game plan to get y'all out of this. Now y'all know what to do. Now I'm gonna be honest with y'all. At this point, it's going to get very chaotic. Not for, your outside world, but for your mind, because you're now going to go through a battle. You know what I'm saying? You're going to go through a battle where your old self and the self is going to want you to look at everything else, is going to challenge you. You know what I'm saying? It's going to cause you to be fearful. It might cause you to, not believe in yourself. It might cause you to, have self-doubts. It might cause you to feel like you're never going to get anywhere. But I want y'all to always keep in mind that this exercise is what's going to get you out of that way of thinking. So you have to stay focused on this way of thinking to get out of it. But you yourself are going to cause you to want to go back to what you were comfortable with, which was being in anxiety and letting it rule you. So just keep in mind, whenever you are looking at that thing within yourself, everything around you is going to be still moving, and you're still going to somewhat think the same. While thinking the same, focus on that object. Focus on the details. Make it as detailed and focus on it. Even what's going on around you, focus on that thing. Start paying attention to what's within. Now, once you get to a point, I want y'all to practice this into the point where y'all can literally, where it gets to a point where you hone it, and I want y'all to not skip shit. If you skip this and you don't build yourself up to this, you will never actually accomplish what needs to be accomplished. You will never accomplish it. What you have to do is focus on that thing. And then once you get to a point where your fear starts to disappear, the other thoughts begin to go away. It's still going to be there a little bit, but when it begins to go away and you feel like, oh yeah, I'm comfortable here. You know, you are literally relaxed while in the normal situation that you would normally be in chaos. Then you go on to the next step. Now, that action plan, right, is all it is you giving yourself a step-by-step guide to doing that thing. For example, fellas, you know what I'm saying? Whenever you talking to a woman, I'm going to give y'all a step-by-step guide to focus on that thing. Now, while you are doing this, remember, the other thought process will be a little bit more quieter at this point. But what you have to realize is by you focusing on the object first, it will be guaranteed. If you do it when you get comfortable, I promise you, you are guaranteed to beat anxiety. You are guaranteed. So what you have to do is you have to stay focused on the object. Now, that step-by-step guide, 1, introduce yourself. 2, you introduce yourself, get her name, understand what's going on with her. The second thing, you want to actually, introduce yourself. You actually want to, tell her your intentions. Let your intentions be known. 3, exchange information. That's your focuses. It don't matter if you're joking around. It don't matter if you're playing. As long as that's your focus, I promise you that anxiety will go away. But to begin, this is the battle. Whatever the case might be, it might not be approaching women. That was just an example, giving y'all step by step. What will happen is you will have to get used to consistently anticipating every single situation. Every single situation. Now, what's going to happen after you anticipate every single situation, you're going to find yourself moving. And then, boom, it's not going to go how you want it to go. So, with that being the case, what you have to do is you have to focus and realize what the goal is. You see, the world will have you thinking that because you aren't getting that reward, because you aren't doing that thing, because you aren't looking good in other people's eyes, you're failing, you're losing, you're not getting where you're not being the person you have to be. You're not doing what you have to do. You're not being successful. But that is not the truth. The truth is that you are doing more than you have ever done before. This is why it's so uncomfortable. This is why it feels so strange. This is why it's such an internal battle while you're going through it. It's because you are challenging yourself in a way that you have never been challenged before. And the point of it all is that you want to become not the person that gives every number, not the person who succeeds every time you have anxiety, not the person who you know what I'm saying, who goes through situations and they they're blissfully fearless. That's not the goal. Look, this is the goal. You want to be someone who can focus and do what has to be done, even if you have anxiety. This is why it's so key for y'all to understand what it would be like if you did not have it. You have to understand what it would be like if you didn't have anxiety, Do you want to know why? Because a lot of people who have anxiety never overcome it, and they have to experience it 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and they have to live in regret and disappointment before they decide to make a change. So you have to sit down and you have to think about this while going through disappointment, because what you'll begin to realize is that you can't be disappointed by somebody else outside of yourself when you think this way. Which means you're never going to stop moving. You're never going to slow down. But it's a battle that you have to have a conversation with yourself to get out of that way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? You have to do that. But once you overcome that way of thinking, once you change that thinking process, once you get yourself from looking at, oh, I didn't do good, I didn't do that, you did it. And you focused on what was necessary that had to be done. Now, if you fuck up on that, that means that you have something that you're focusing on. But guess what? You better than what you were yesterday. Just keep focusing on what has to be done and continuously go. Now, what you begin to realize is that it'll become easier and easier and easier. The more you think about it, the more you practice it, it'll become easier and easier and easier and easier and easier. But what you'll begin to realize is this. You'll begin to not be familiar with this new you. You will not be familiar, which means a part of you and a part of your ways of thinking are going to die. This is going to be in relationships. This is going to be in friendships. This is going to be in family. This is going to be in the way you think. This is going to be in the way you move, because your anxiety will no longer stop you where it normally would stop you. And you're going to start moving different because the world is going to seem different to you. Because the anxiety, you know how to get past the anxiety will no longer stop you. So it's a very, how I put this, rebirth, for the lack of a better term. We're going to say like a rebirth experience. But at the end of the day, like, it's going to cause a lot of problems too. It's going to be like it's going to be a new life, but it's going to cause a lot of problems because your relationships and people are not going to look at you the same way, because your anxiety doesn't stop you the same way it did. So when you get to that next level, I want y'all to realize is that y'all will be changed by doing the exercises, by changing your, the way of thinking from anxiety to anticipating and following your step-by-step plans to execute what needs to be done. And eventually you'll have fun executing. By being that person who has fun in situations where the world can be against you, you can just lock in on yourself and focus on yourself and do it and really continuously move forward. What you'll begin to realize is this. Life is going to be new. And it's going to be full of adventure. It's going to be more to explore. It's going to be more to do. But your old life, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? So you will change. You will evolve. You will become something different. But at the end of the day, what I want y'all to realize, and leave a motherfucking like on the video, is that y'all are going to be independent when it comes down to at least social gatherings, when it comes down to living your life. Now, this next stage of that, which I have to realize, is that the problem that y'all will have is that now y'all are going to look and be hungry for more adventure than you ever have been before. That's going to be your biggest thing, because after realizing what life can be once actually overcoming this conquest, you're going to have so much more to do. So I want y'all to really do this. I want y'all to really watch this video again if you need to. But one thing that's going to have to disappear from y'all for this to actually work, and I say this for the end, because a lot of motherfuckers, they ain't going to make it to this point, so they ain't going to get this gem, is that you have to have enough humility to actually do everything and think about everything that I said, and to think about everything I told you to think about, and to do everything I told you to do. That is when you're going to get over it. that's when you're gonna do what you have to do to get over it. Because a lot of people, they think they know what they have to do, and they skip a lot of details for the sake of accomplishing and doing things that they think that they have to do, to their own understanding of having the anxiety, to their own understanding. They don't understand the details that is necessary. Everything I've given you, I'm telling you, it's for a purpose. A lot of people are going to skip over these details, and it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them. Like, it's going to cause them to not move, and they're not going to understand why. They're going to be in the same situation. They're not going to understand why. They're not. And you can't blame anyone else but themselves because of their ego. You see, one thing that I want y'all to understand that's going to always be a roadblock to you, road by road, step by step through every sequence of your life, is your own pride, your own ego, your own understanding, your own sense of self-righteousness. It will always hinder you because most people, they think that they know enough, that they understand enough to make decisions that's going to change their life. And the reality of it is that they don't. They don't know enough. They don't understand enough. And the only reason why you have to really believe, the reason why any of y'all should be believing what I'm saying is because you clicked on the fucking video. You clicked on the fucking video. So you have so much more to learn than you think you do. Because if you already had the answer, you wouldn't need the video. So that's all I really got for y'all, man. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. That's all I really got for y'all, man. Get this video to, I say, 500 likes. Subscribe for another banger like this, man. Subscribe. I always drop videos like this, man. But I'm gonna see y'all when I see y'all, man. Peace.